Okay, so today we're going to be doing leader stats or leaderboards. First let me just open up Roblox Studio. Sorry, there's a bit of technical difficulties. Hold up. Okay then, so yeah, start studio. Okay, so we're gonna be doing leaderboards now. So here we insert a script into script service, and let's call it leaderboard. And then we want to delete all of this. And we're gonna type in this service, so local players equal game get service players. So what this means is that it gets the service called players, and this is the service right here. So instead of using game.players, we'll use game get service players. So even if the name of the service changes, it'll still get this service. So let's say the name of it like changed to player, right? So game dot players wouldn't work, right? Because it doesn't exist. But we use game get service players, then it would work, even though the name is different, because that's the class name of the service. Okay, so we can delete the other script that was in here before, so we can delete the value and we can delete the part one. So now we have a server script in server script service called leaderboard. And now let's make a function called local function leaderboard parentheses and player. So this is for when the player joins the game, right? So we want to create like a leaderboard for the player when they join the game. So we're just going to leave it like that. Then we're going to add players dot player added connect, and we're going to connect it to the function. So if a player is added to the service, so if a player is added here, right now it's just showing me, but if a player is added and they're like, let's say another person, right, then it'll add them, then it'll connect it to the function, to this function. called leaderboard, which is where everything is going to be in. So any questions so far? Now inside the function, right, we want to add one variable called local leader stats. That's what the leaderboard's called. It's called leader stats because it's like leaderboard plus the stats. So we just use you don't have to name a leader stats. It can be anything, but leader stats is easier to memorize. So local leader stats equal instance dot new and folder. So we're going to be creating a new folder by using instance dot new. Then leader stats dot name equal leader stats. So the folder name will be leader stats. So when it appears into the players, which is where the parent's going to be, it's going to be called leader stats. And now we have to assign it a parent. So leader stats dot parent equal player. So that now the parent will be in the player. So the player, we already have a parameter for player called player, right? And also you can delete those two parentheses. So now that we have player here, it'll be referencing the player that was added. So now let's move on. Any questions before we move on? Okay, no questions. Remember, if you have a question, you can leave it anytime in the chat. So now let's move on to adding stats. So let's go to making the stat itself. So we're going to be using int values for the stat. Let's call this local cache. That's what we're going to be using for this. We're going to be making like a cache leaderboard. Sorry if I didn't mention that before. And it's going to be similar to the leader stats variable. We're going to do instance dot new, and we're going to do in quotation marks int value. So we're going to be creating a new int value. Now we're going to give it a name. So cache dot name equals cache. Then cache dot value equals, you don't have to set it to 0, but you can set it to anything like the starting cache, leave 500 or 1000, whatever you want. I'm just going to leave it at 0. Then we're going to make the cache dot parent the leader stats. So the int value is going to be inside the folder. Okay. So any questions before we test it? Okay, so let's test it by pressing F5, not F8, since this involves the player. So we have to test it by pressing F5. And now it'll show right here. It should say cache and then 0. Okay, and you can test this with multiple people just by yourself. You can either use team create, or if you're alone, you can use test. So local server, you can select that. Then you can select the number of players. Maximum is 8, lowest is 0. So we're gonna do like 2. Actually, we're not gonna be doing this now since this is not needed. But if you want to, you can test it out yourself, and it'll just creating a couple of windows for each player. Okay, so let's go back here to the leaderboard. So we want to change it, right? So from this server, let's change it. So let's make a loop. So while true do task dot wait 1 second. So we're gonna be waiting 1 second. Cash dot value. No, wait, we cannot add, remember, so you cannot add this here. So if you use cash, it won't appear, right? So you will have to either make cash a global variable by removing the local or moving the while true function in here. So while true do cash now will appear dot value equal we could either do cash dot value equal cash dot value plus, let's say, 10, or this method used more and it's much shorter, plus equal 10. They both work the same way, but this is much shorter and looks nicer too. So let's test this. Let's see if it works. It should change the cache every second. There we go. It's changing it. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. It'll keep on doing that. So now that works. Let's make it so if the player touches an object, they can get some coins. So let's go to home, press part, press sphere, and then let's just move it so it's, sorry about that. So it's right here. Let's move it there. So it's right here. Let's make it neon, so it'll be glowing, and let's make it like yellowish. Scale down the size, and let's remove cast shadow, or you can keep it, doesn't matter. This is just purely appearance. Now let's make sure turn on anchored and turn off can collide. And now you got a floating coin right here, or that's what we're gonna call it. And let's just rename the part from part to coin. And let's just move it a little bit up. So right there. Then we're gonna create a script, delete the inside of it. And then we're gonna create a variable, again, local players equal game, get service players. And then let's make it local coin or cash. You can choose. I'm just saying coin. You can also change this to coins if you want to. I just don't know how to like make a little cash thing. Doesn't matter though. We're gonna just call it coin or cash. I'm just gonna call it cash. Sorry about that. And we're gonna make it the parent of the script. So right here. So script, the parent of the script. So the parent of the script is coin. So that's what the thing is, coin or cash. I should probably just change this back there since I'm using cash, not coins. And then we're going to make a function where a local function. So on touch. And then let's just name this like not part, other part as a parameter. Since if we use part, that would kind of be like get confusing because another part would mean that it's not the cache part, and that's not what other part means. So local part parent equals other part dot parent. So the part parent, it's like it's just referencing or creating a variable for the other part's parent, right? And then we're gonna make local humanoid. This is what characters use to display health and all of that stuff. So if you go here to workspace, you can add like a humanoid, but we're not using, this is what the humanoid has. So it has like the health, it has a name and all this stuff. We're just going to be using humanoid to make sure that the whatever touches it is the player. Okay, so local humanoid equal part parent find first child. So find first child is a default function where it finds the child with a specific name, but we're not going to be using find first child right now. We're going to be using a modified version of find first child, which is so it's going to be finding the class for it. So instead of like saying us find cash, we're gonna be trying to find like part or humanoid in this case. So it shows like class name. So this is what we're using. So which is a reference the class name. So that's what we're looking for. Then if humanoid, then so this just saying if it finds a humanoid, then we'll go into this. So we're going using a destroy thing to destroy this part. So we're going to cache destroy, and it'll automatically destroy it, right? And then we want to update the stats of the player. So local player equal players get player from character part parent. And then after that, we want to make a leader stats. So local, not make, reference the leader stats that's going to be created from the server. Sorry about that. And that'll be player dot leader. Yeah, it won't appear on here. So because it hasn't been created, it's only going to be created when the game is run. So make sure the name of it is the name that you set here. So we set it, or I set it to leader stats, and that's what I'm going to use. So player.leader stats. Then we want to make local cache stat equal leader stats dot, then look at the name right here for this, and it says cache. So that's what we're going to be doing, cache. Okay, so local cache stat is that. Oh wait, hold on. Okay, so first that won't work. Just remembered. We have to first use a leader stats and leader stats find first child cache, because that's first see if that leader stats exists, right? And then it'll find the first child, which is cache. So that means then it'll find that the leader stats child is cache, and if it exists, then it will create the variable. Before we continue, any questions? So no questions. Now let's make a if conditional. So if cache stat, then same thing as what we did before. So not here. If humanoid, so meaning if it exists, then we're going to change the value of the cache. So cache. No, not cache. Cache stat. That's what we created the variable to. Cache stat dot value. Then we're going to do plus equal 10. Or you could do cache stat dot value equal cache stat dot value plus 10, but this is easier, much shorter. Now this won't work since remember it's still a function, so none of this will run until we call it. So we're going to do cache dot touched connect, and then we're going to connect it to on touch. So this is similar, so it connects it to this function, but we're going to be using touch. So meaning whenever the part is touched, it will run the function. So let's test it out. Let's see if it works. Okay, let's go here. And there we go, it works, it's gone. So you can make multiple, so you can just still control D, select it, control D, and you can make as many as you want. Like that. Let's just move it around because some are in there. There we go. So now if we run it, we'll get 10 cache for each one. So let's go on there, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and 80. And tomorrow I can show you how to make the cache save, and also how to make these little coins just like spawn in instead of just like being pre-made. So yeah, that's all for today. If you have any questions, you can leave it in the chat. Otherwise, you can just leave. But make sure before you exit Roblox Studio, save it. So press save to Roblox, and there we go. Oh, right, and I'm always forgetting this, but before you guys leave, I'll post the scripts into the chat, so don't leave yet. I'm gonna just post the leaderboard. Okay, then I have to post the cache script. So cache. Oh, sorry about that. There we go. Like that. Yeah, there we go. Now you can just like copy and paste it if you couldn't do it before. And yeah, that's it. If you're done, you can leave. If you have no questions, then you can leave.